Hi, my name is Candace. I'm one of the crocheters from Crochetgasm, and today we're going to do a tutorial on how to do the Elizabeth stitch. So the Elizabeth stitch is a really good stitch for beginners. It's fairly simple, and it's one of those patterns where you pretty much just repeat the same stitch all the way through each row, which makes it really good for pretty much lots of projects, but definitely good for beginners, anybody who finds themselves kind of stopping and starting projects, or you need to put something down for a little while and you want to be able to come back and kind of just pick back up right where you left off. This is a really good stitch for that. So here's what it looks like, and you'll notice it looks the same on both sides, which is really nice. This is also called the mini bean stitch, so you might see it kind of referred to as that somewhere else, and I think it's because each of these little stitches kind of look like little mini beans. So this is a good stitch. I think this works really well for all kinds of projects, really. Like this little dishcloth here, you could do blankets, scarves, hats, cowls, cuffs, fingerless gloves. I mean, the options are pretty endless, mostly because the stitch is very versatile. You can really kind of use it for any sort of width or length for your projects. It works really well with switching colors. So lots of options if you want to use this stitch. All right, so let's get into how to do it. For this tutorial, all you're going to need is a crochet hook. I'm using the 5mm crochet hook for this and some yarn, and then you're good to go. To start off this pattern, we're going to need to make a chain. You're going to want to do a chain that's a multiple of 2 plus 4 additional stitches. So for this one, I'm going to do 24. So 20 is kind of my starting chain for length, and then 4 extra stitches. So it'll just be some chain stitches. Yarn over and pull through the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to continue this all the way till I get 24 stitches. So now that I've finished my starting chain, I'm going to work on my next row. So I'm going to go and start working in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start here. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over again, insert back into that very same stitch I just inserted into, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now I have 4 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to pull through all 4 loops. And so this part can get a little tricky, I think, if you go too fast. So as you're getting used to the stitch, I think it's best to just go slow. So I went through all 4. Now I'm going to do one more chain stitch that kind of closes off that stitch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the next stitch and work in this one. So same thing again, insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over again, insert back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then now that I've got all 4 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 4. And so like I said, as you're getting used to it, it's really helpful to kind of loosen up and go through slowly. So I got 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to close it with a chain stitch, and then I'm going to skip this stitch, right? That's my next one. I'm going to skip that one, and I'm going to start working in this one. So exact same thing as before. Insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert to the same stitch I was working in before, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now that I've got 4 loops on here, I'm going to pull through all 4. Now sometimes when I get to this point, my loops are a little tight, and that makes it a lot harder to pull my hook through. So sometimes I'll kind of take a minute, loosen those up, and then pull through all 4 loops, yarn over with chain stitch, there we go. And then I'm going to keep doing this all the way down. And so you notice that it gets kind of stretched out a little bit here. As I continue working the stitch and continue the rows, this will all kind of work itself back in place. And so it won't look this loose the whole time. But I want to continue this all the way till I get to the end of my chain. So here's what it looks like after I finish that row. You'll notice if I let go, it kind of curls up a little bit. That's okay, but you can kind of already see that the spaces I was having stretching out that first kind of chain is kind of already starting to work its way back. So now that we've finished that row, we're going to turn our work. So we're working in the other direction, and then now we want to start off with a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're going to be doing the exact same stitch, but instead you'll notice before that we were working in the stitches and we were kind of skipping each stitch we go along. This time we're going to work into this space that we created with our chain stitch and by skipping a stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook in that chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert back into that very same chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then now once again I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, hopefully not get caught up, there we go, chain stitch, and then we're going to find, so that was that chain space, our next chain space, which is right here. So insert my hook, yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over again, insert into that very same chain space, yarn over, pull up my loop. I've got my 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain stitch, and I'm going to go to my next space, which looks like it's right here. So insert my hook, yarn over, insert into that same chain space, pull up another loop. I've got 4 loops, pull through all 4. Oops, got a little snagged there. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to chain stitch, close that out, and I'm just going to continue this all the way down to the end of the row. So I've gotten to the end of this row, and as I get down here, I don't have any more chain spaces like I had before. So what I want to work in this last stitch is the space that's created by this chain here. You can kind of see the little hole. That's where I want to do my last stitch. So I insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert back into that same space, yarn over and pull up my loop. So I've got my 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 4, and end that row with a chain stitch. And so now I'm going to turn, and so from here on out I'm pretty much just repeating that last row that we did all the way until I get the desired length for my project. So I start with my chain 3, that's going to create that space at the end that we kind of just worked into. I'm going to find my first chain space right here, insert my hook, and then repeat that Elizabeth stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, insert into that same chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain stitch, and then I'm going to move on to my next chain space, and I'm going to repeat this until I get my project at its desired length. And so there we have our finished little project here. As you guys can see, we've got our alternating little stitches here, which I think turned out really nice. And it, kind of like I talked to you guys about before, this bottom row is loosened up, kind of woven back in, so everything turned out good. I hope you liked this crochet tutorial. If you want to read the full tutorial with pictures and step-by-step, there'll be a link in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please like and subscribe so you don't miss more tutorials. Thank you. Bye.